Stranger, this isn't just any honey, it's Manuka honey. And in its purest form, it can cost up to $99 per 100 grams. That represents more than 100 times the price of regular honey we find in supermarkets. So why does this product reach such extraordinary values? Manuka honey is widely recognized and celebrated internationally for being more earthy, richer in flavor, and significantly more viscous than many other types of honey available in the global market. It comes exclusively from the precious nectar of the Leptospermum scoparium flower, also popularly known as Manuka, which is native only to New Zealand and cannot be found growing naturally anywhere else on the planet. The word Manuka is, in fact, a traditional Maori term, deeply rooted in the country's ancient indigenous culture. If you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel. This signals to YouTube that this content is worthwhile. The simple fact that this honey comes specifically from New Zealand already grants it a premium price from the start. Worker bees travel considerable distances of up to 6 kilometers to collect this precious and rare nectar, and thus, this honey truly becomes representative of New Zealand's unique, pristine, and ecologically diverse environment with its untouched landscapes and exceptional biodiversity. The Manuka plant itself and the honey it produces are extremely rare on a global scale. Of all the types of honey existing in the entire world, Manuka honey probably represents only 1% of all global honey production, a statistic that clearly demonstrates its exceptional exclusivity. Harvesting this honey presents significant and unique challenges that few other natural products face. The harvest period is extremely limited, lasting only 2 to 6 weeks per year, depending on the specific weather conditions of each region. Furthermore, the Manuka flower remains open for only 12 days in total, creating a very narrow and critical window of opportunity. In New Zealand, we have frequently challenging weather conditions with strong wind, abundant rain, and other unpredictable natural elements, which means there is a considerable amount of luck involved in successful harvesting, in addition to the enormous dedicated effort and expertise of experienced beekeepers. In some particularly challenging years, some beekeepers fail to produce absolutely any honey. To reach the remote areas where Manuka plants flourish, it's necessary to go to great lengths, often using specialized helicopters, to collect this honey in hard-to-access locations in New Zealand's mountains and valleys. Although Manuka shrubs can also be found in some regions of Australia, New Zealand is responsible for almost all global production of this valuable honey. New Zealand's Manuka honey exports reached the impressive value of $204 million, and projections indicate that this number should quadruple, reaching $800 million by 2028, growth that reflects increasing global demand. New Zealand's honey is rigorously protected by an established quality standard that safeguards Manuka's special and unique properties. Since this is an exceptionally expensive and valued honey, and considering that any expensive product attracts people who will try to copy, imitate, or even defraud, a significant large portion of the cost is in product protection and all the necessary scientific research. We know it's unique, we know it comes exclusively from New Zealand, we can identify it with scientific precision. We've established specialized laboratories around the entire world capable of performing this detailed identification. The New Zealand government has officially established a rigorous standard to define what truly constitutes authentic Manuka honey. How exactly does the classification system work, and what precisely do experts look for in Manuka honey? We spoke with Dr. Adrian Charlton from Fera Science, a renowned laboratory in northern England where Manuka honey is meticulously tested to identify its unique and characteristic compounds. As standard procedure, we test 3 main compounds: dihydroxyacetone, known by the acronym DHA, methyl glyoxal, known as MgO, and hydroxymethylfurfural, abbreviated as HMF. These are the fundamental basic tests we perform to ensure that Manuka honey contains the specific antimicrobial characteristics that the consumer expects and deserves to receive. We don't just detect these compounds, but also precisely measure the concentration of each one. This is done using specialized ultraviolet light, to detect a particular wavelength. Each individual compound has slightly different and unique properties, but due to problems that occurred in the past with potential fraud and adulteration, there is now a complete set of other additional tests. This includes tests for compounds like leptospirin, which is a unique chemical marker exclusive to the nectar of Leptospermum scoparium. Through this marker, we can trace the honey back to its specific botanical origin, the exact plant from which it was derived. If this content is being useful to you, subscribe to the channel. It's a simple click that helps a lot. The markers found on a jar of Manuka honey can be confusing for the average consumer. How can you be sure you're acquiring the authentic product? In some specific cases, they're labeling by the concentration of a particular compound. For example, MgO 300 would indicate 300 milligrams of methyl glyoxal in that specific jar of honey per kilogram. There's also NPA, which stands for non-peroxide activity. This is related to the concentration of methyl glyoxal, but is a more direct measure of the honey's actual antimicrobial activity. Other markings, such as UMF, unique Mānuka Factor, are certified quality marks. If you can see a particular seal or stamp on a product, it means it has been tested and assured according to a certain rigorous established standard. This is different from simply labeling the product with the concentration of a particular compound. Another important factor that is significantly driving the price up is the growing use of Manuka honey in health, wellness, and beauty products. Its proven antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties are widely promoted as capable of soothing, nourishing, and revitalizing the skin effectively. It's also frequently recommended as an aid in treating spots, blemishes, and acne. But does this really work, as promised? There have been a considerable number of scientific studies that have attempted to determine with precision the real health benefits of Manuka honey, and there are certainly some very positive and encouraging results. Specifically in terms of antimicrobial activity, we can clearly demonstrate that Manuka honey has proven antimicrobial activity in a controlled laboratory environment. However, those extensive clinical trials over a long period of time have not yet been completely conducted to date. But there are numerous scientific and anecdotal reports that strongly indicate that Manuka honey has significant benefits, although not yet fully proven through large-scale clinical studies. Therefore, the jury is still deliberating on Manuka's complete medicinal properties, but this has definitely not prevented its growing worldwide popularity. Manuka honey is an extremely serious and lucrative business. The high price and demand for the honey are so extraordinarily high that the New Zealand police have received hundreds of documented reports of hives or honey being stolen. There are even alarming reports of bees being deliberately poisoned by criminals seeking to eliminate competition or cause damage to producers. So if you can get your hands on an authentic jar, does it really taste different from regular common honey? People who have tried it describe, the taste is really strong and striking. It's very, very thick compared to the normal honey we're used to. It has a kind of characteristic nutty flavor. It's not as sweet as the usual honey we know. Others comment, it's really smooth in texture and the flavor is quite similar to what I'm used to experiencing. The texture is really interesting. It's very, very thick, almost as if it were creamy in consistency. Is Manuka honey really worth 100 times more than other types of honey available on the market? That, ultimately, is for you to judge and decide based on your own priorities, values, and available budget. But what is absolutely certain and indisputable is that no other honey in the entire world is so rare, so unique, so special, and so rigorously controlled that it must necessarily undergo specialized laboratory analysis and certification before being sold to final consumers. This extraordinary uniqueness, combined with its documented unique properties, extremely limited geographic origin, and challenging and complex production process, certainly justifies its position as one of the most valuable, coveted, and prestigious natural products on the planet. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss the next videos.